Wir recording.
What's going on, everybody? This is Ben and Rick, and we are the Zen Heads. And what we're going to do here is pick our trusty topics out of Rick's magician hat. Oh, he changed it. Not a magician's hat anymore. It's a 1970s Irishman's hat. So I'm going to leave it up to my trusty Vanna White over here to pick me out a beautiful topic for us to talk about today.
Oh, that was cheating. Here we go.
The survey says, or I should say Batman says,
Inner circle, information we take in.
oof, I love this one. This is something I preach all the time to myself and my mother.
So inner circle, basically this topic is looking at who we involve ourselves with and what kind of information influence we let take in. So Ben, what do you think about inner circle when you first think of that?
First thing I think about is we are the product of our environment. So the people, I think there's a quote, I always try to say who it is, I never remember. It's we are like the culmination of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. So if we're surrounding ourselves with drug dealers, criminals, everything like that, we're more prone to go down that, down that path, right? And that's not a bad thing if that's like people's environments and stuff like that, but we have a choice to consciously pick who we surround ourselves with. And I think for me, that's something that took up until my 30s to realize, like, whoa, I'm in control of who I interact with, what information I take in from the people who I do decide to interact with. And even with the internet, we have to be conscious on the stuff we absorb. So I think taking that inner circle and extending it to that information is crucial. I like this topic a lot.
Right. So if I'm hanging around everybody and we're just hanging out at the bar all the time and just doing that type of activity, there's your cumulative level of what you're going to wind up getting at the end of it. If that's what you want out of it, then so be it. If you want to be an Olympian on any type of category and you're surrounding yourself by people that just sit around and drink the soda and eat all the junk and stuff like that, you're kind of skewing your odds.
Yeah.
Or anything in business.
And I think the key point to that too is, it's a really good point, is if you want to become an Olympian and stuff like that, your best chance to do that is to be conscious of who you're hanging around with. If that's a true goal of yours, you're not going to get that by surrounding yourself with 5 people who are constantly out till 4 a.m. drinking and doing their thing. That's totally cool. If you're working a job that does that and that aligns with your goals, and that's, something you find fun to do and you like hanging out that crowd, that's totally cool. But if you want to become this gold medal athlete, that's not the type of people you're going to surround yourself with. You're going to surround yourself with the people more likely that have the same training regimen, are on stricter nutritional diets for prime performance and stuff like that. So I think that's a big key that we have to understand, is by surrounding ourselves with people that align with where we want to go, it's okay if people don't. You know what I mean? It's just, that's not who we're hanging out with, or that's not who we're spending a majority of our time with. Doesn't mean you have to cut them out of your life completely. It just that you have to be selective with your time and energy.
Right. So the biggest here that I'm going to be thinking about with this is I do have your friends that you enjoy hanging out with, but yet they don't align with that. I don't want to cut them off, right? I don't want to say, hey, listen, you just don't align with my goals. Bye.
Yeah.
Because there's people that you've grown up with your entire life, and you're like, wait a second, this is also happiness, because I'm also enjoying my time around them. That's where I feel myself a little torn. I won't be like, well, bye, because you're not grinding, or you're hanging out by a campfire and such like that, but yet you're enjoying hanging out by a campfire. So I definitely feel torn on that type of thought process.
So I like this. I like this kind of contradiction, because I think that's huge. A part of becoming, we're just going to kind of run with this Olympic training kind of thing. A big part of that is being able to stay mentally clear and mentally grounded and stuff like that. And that can be a part of your plan. But say if you're going to a campfire 7 nights, 5 nights a week, drinking beer and having hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that, that doesn't line up. But to be able to surround yourself maybe once a week, that's your outlet or your cheat day or whatever. Not saying that those friends are cheat days, but it's one of those, you have to structure it a little bit, opposed to, in the bar Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Maybe, you offer a Friday happy hour, grab a drink, grab an appetizer or meal, and then you can go home.
There you go.
I think it's kind of taking a look at, if we were to do a pie chart and see how much time is allotted where, it would be so much easier to be like, oh, well, that's why I'm not achieving my goals. It's not specifically who I'm hanging out with, because they're great people. It's what I'm doing when I hang out with these people. You know what I mean?
Right. It sounds like it's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So like the majority of your time, if you're doing a certain category, that is your lifestyle. But when you are taking that time off and hanging out with the certain friends that you like being with, the campfire and whatnot, it's not going to make or break the majority of your time, because it's not the consistent, like the pie chart you said. It's not the total lifestyle.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's always this balance that we have to achieve, because if you go in one extreme one way, I know I did that I was in some bad places in my mid to late 20s mentally. And the number one thing I thought of, okay, I have to just cut these people out of my life. And that's like quitting drugs cold turkey, right? Like there's that withdrawal that you're emotionally dependent on people that have been in your life for X amount of time, whether it be romantically or not romantically, just relationships in general. So if I could go back and reevaluate how I would do that, it would be that pie chart type of thing. It would be like, wait, I'm just dedicating so much time, so much of my emotions and so much of my energy into things that aren't aligning with the direction I want to go. So I think it's a little bit easier to kind of wean yourself off by kind of rededicating, refocusing on energy and time, opposed to cold turkey in it. That's how I would fix what I did in the past, at least.
Yeah, that's a great point. With just the majority of it. So what you're thinking is just lining up. Hey, if I want to go from A to B, or I want to be in that, let's keep going Olympian. We'll just be Olympians, okay?
Yeah.
So we're Olympic athletes.
We're hanging out together now. We have to be Olympians. If your goal is to be an Olympian, that's where we're going.
So you're taking your target. I said, all right, I want to be the Olympian or whatever, and or I want to be a writer or whatnot. So you want to surround yourself by those type of habits that bring you there. So connecting yourselves with people that are already doing it are definitely going to be doing the particular habits, and you want to align with that. But the majority, if you start going in the other direction, you're doomed, right? Makes pretty much sense.
Exactly. It's the idea of, okay, if I want to be a writer, what type of information am I going to look up? What type of materials am I going to read? Am I going to read the biological mind and how chemicals work? Like that's not going to be pertinent to my writing unless that's what I'm writing about. So if you're trying to train or achieve a goal, it's kind of directing yourself and creating an outline of the information you're taking in, the friendships you're developing. By taking in that information, surrounding yourself with the right people, it's going to be like that. I always use that water analogy. Be like water. Bruce Lee has said that. Go with the flow, because if these people are either living your dream or on a path to your dream, a version of it, why not like team up? Why not, bounce ideas? That's how you get in the arena. That's how you kind of get that feel, the pulse of what it really wants to be. And it's totally okay if you realize, wait, these aren't the people I want to surround myself with, because maybe that's not the goal you want, right? Maybe you're like, I was just a fantasy. That's how you know.
To get a mentor as well.
Yeah,
that's going to be a huge advantage. Now let's touch in right away. I'm starting to think about the negative aspect as well.
Okay.
So how we filter the information that comes into us, or the influence that comes into us. So if I surround myself by a bunch of assholes, I'm going to have this barrage of negative influence that's going to be coming in, and you really have to be the watchdog to that type of influence. And you can only take so much. I don't care how thick your skin is. If you put yourself deep in the water and you're surrounded by this type of negativity, eventually your shield is going to break down.
Yeah.
So it's once you start getting that type of filter, if that doesn't align with what you're trying to do, you need to get yourself out. So that outside influence, if somebody's saying, hey, you can do it, go get it. I'm a huge positive nut. Like, but if they're not, and they're saying, no, you're dumb, or saying some horrible shit like that, it's like, oh, you can't. In my household, can't's a bad word.
Yeah,
And,
should be.
so, right. So once you start getting that, I'm hugely passionate about cutting that out and separating yourself from that, because that ties in with just also lining up with getting the right type of influence. Like you were saying, like surround yourself by people that you can team up with, the mentors, the people who have done it in the past, the people that want to break new ground as well.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think a lot of it is your receptors are open to how people and how words make you feel, right? You can quickly identify A makes me feel B. So the word can't, or obviously if some assholes like, yo, you're a dipshit, you can't do this kind of stuff. That's going to be like, all right, well, go eat a dick. Like you can't talk to me like that. Right. So
Right.
first thing I think of is, okay, maybe I don't have to eliminate this person completely. Cause obviously like in my book that I have not published yet, I have this thing, we don't owe people our time and energy and our friendship based off the amount of time we've known somebody, right? So if I've had a friend since I was 5 and we don't really get along now, or we don't really see eye to eye, or, I'm just not into that anymore, I don't owe them my time and energy because they've been in my life that long. I owe it to them to show respect and not, be an asshole to them, not kind of cut them out in a bad way or anything like that. That's what I owe to them. But I don't owe them time and energy and all my efforts if we're not going the same direction. I will always be a person to listen. I'll always be a person to talk to. But like I said, it's all about us. Like we have a direction we're trying to go. And if people don't line up, it's okay to tell people like, hey, I can't hang out tonight. You don't have to be like, hey, you're not a part of my goals and my future. I don't want you in my life. Like that's not how this works.
Right. That makes perfect sense. And that kind of makes it a little more manageable, because it doesn't have to be the full pie chart.
Yeah.
As long as you can do it. But if you're diving in there, then that's the direction you're going. That's what you're deciding, really.
Think about it this way. This is how I always interpret it. People who tend to complain that you're not being around or anything like that, if you don't invite them places, or you kind of fade out a little bit, most of the time those people aren't the people putting in the effort, the continuous effort to be a part of your life and your direction, because they feel that friction too. Like maybe you're not lining up with the direction they want to go. It's a two-way street. So if you're not asking them to hang out, usually they won't be asking you to hang out. So it kind of naturally goes its direction. And then when you guys have that distance, or you've been apart for a little bit, you're going to want to get together. And that's how it naturally starts filling that pie chart the way it should be, more evenly distributed.
Right. I like how you chimed on that, the understanding of the relationship.
Yeah, two ways.
Like going back when you were talking about, if someone says, oh, you can't do it, I'll bet my right hand that there's somebody who hasn't done it themselves.
Yes.
I'm a big believer that it's those that have done it are the ones that are going to say, you go for it. They'll say, F it, give it a try, and swing away until you break through.
How can I help?
Right. There you go. Right. Yeah. How can I help? Give you a little bit of a push off the edge so you can try to fly. But those that have not done it themselves, they will be the ones that be like, no, too hard, too high, it's too steep. And they'll flood you with all that kind of stuff like that. So once I love how you kind of chimed on that, the pie chart. I'm going to keep on spinning back to that. If you have that small percentage, those that understand and say, oh, listen, he's going towards this goal. He's really trying to focus towards what he wants out of life. They won't be the sort of grabby ones. Say, well, you don't hang out with us anymore. What's the matter? You don't come out to the bar all the time anymore.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I think you can start to draw the line on and say, wait a second, you're kind of not really aiming for what's best for me. You're kind of saying, hey, just give me your time. And they're trying to bleed you, where I'm pretty comfortable with cutting that out.
Yeah. Dude, you gave me chills, because that's exactly what it is, man. It is, do these people have my best intentions in the forefront of their mind too? It's like
Right.
if I'm going to dedicate that time and energy to people, what I'm trying to do is get the best out of them for them. So if their goal is to become an Olympian or become a grade A writer, well, maybe I'm not going to sit there and complain, hey, why aren't you hanging out? That's not going to be my source of communication. I'm going to maybe text me, like, hey, man, how's that new book going? How's your training going? Any new nutritional tips you got?
Mm.
Kind of to keep that source of contact because I care about them and I want them in my life. But I understand, I'm not going down that path too. So I think there's where we can find that's not the definitive line, but you're definitely picking the people you want in your circle because as much as I want the best for you, I need people to like reciprocate that energy and they want the best for me too. You can't bleed me dry of my energy and then ask me, hey, where have you been?
Right. Right. There's kind of an unfair game that they would be playing with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a great set of glasses for us to see what kind of influence and people we do want to allow into it. Those are
Yeah.
going to be understanding, like, hey, listen, I get it. You're grinding. Go get it. Let me know what I can help out with. And
Yeah.
that's a great support group. Not those that are going to kind of throw the whole like, what's the matter with you, you
Mm-hmm.
jerk?
Yeah.
Where
And
meanwhile, if you invert it, they're the ones actually being the jerk because they're trying to pull your energy towards their own goal, which is just to kind of blow out time.
they project. There's something going on in their life most of the time. I would say they're projecting insecurities of them. They haven't achieved a goal, so they don't want to see somebody else achieve a goal. Whether that's conscious or subconscious, that's what I find a lot of things is. It's a projection of people's insecurities that are trying to drag you down or prevent you from getting to where they want it to be. Because there's nothing worse than seeing somebody live out your goals and dedicate their lives to your goals and achieve it when you didn't put in that work. I saw you at a post. There's a commonality of something, hard work and blah blah blah. It's like the difference between people making it and not making it, it's work. Like it's just not going to happen, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Posted like what the secret,
Yeah,
the
like
trick hack. It's
yeah,
work.
it's work, and it comes down to the work part of it is selecting that inner circle and the information you take in. That's a part of it. It might not be that tangible stuff that you write down or be like, hey, today Brian's no longer a part of my life because X, Y, and Z. Like that's not it. It's hey, today I worked on refining my circle and really aligning myself with people that are more goal oriented, kind of aligning with my vision at the moment, but I still want to dedicate time to those I love and want to make time for.
Time. There you go. So picture that hourglass. We only have so much sand in it, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to allocate it strategically. If we want to pour it all over into the guys at the bar or whatnot, then that's our choice. But we only have so many grains of sand in the
Yeah.
hourglass, so we have to kind of be smart with it. Of course, you have to have your support group, but if you pour it into somebody that like we're talking about right now, we're breaking up this sort of strategy here where it's like, can you define them as an asshole that's just bleeding you dry, or are they really your friends and they're really supporting you? Because somebody who's really your friend will say, "Go get it."
Yeah.
That's real support. And I think when they kind of give you shit for not coming out and not for partying, that's kind of a red flag for
Yeah.
sure.
And I think we can always kind of argue our own points, be like, well, at a certain age, maybe it's people just being immature or something like that. But that's kind of something I wish, like, you teach your son pretty early a lot of really, really strong values. And I think that stuff, I think this kind of conversation we have to have earlier in lives because in high school, I was lucky. I had surrounded myself with good friends who had good families that did align at that moment. Am I super, super tight with them now? No, I don't speak to them every day, but I still make time to make sure they're doing okay. And I think that's something growing up, and I wish schools would kind of get more into the interpersonal and like social psychology type of thing of the types of positive effects it will have by surrounding yourself with the right people. Granted, we're not all in situations. There's poverty-stricken environments, stuff like that. That's kind of preventing these kind of things. So yeah, I understand that's really hard. But to be conscious of, hey, if you're choosing to stay home and study, or you're going to be out on a corner, each action and each kind of decision you make has a consequence, whether it be good or bad.
Right. I'm glad you brought up the decision part. If you have your goal, there's going to be Y's in the road all the time, the little fork in the road kind of thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Monday we could be high-fiving each other like, hey, here's my plan A. Yeah, I got it. Let's go get it. And you're totally on fire and you're ready to tear it up. Week goes by and you look back and say, shit, what did I do? And you don't get anything done. Years go by and a lifetime goes by and you're saying, well, crap, maybe next time. But there's those micro decisions. Like you said, am I going to stay home and binge some Netflix? That's like one of the biggest banes out there. So you can do something like that, or you can go towards your goal.
Yeah.
And as soon as you walk home, you walk through the door, bang, you're going to hit by a dozen of those forks in the road. And if you create that awareness, then you're going to see that you're really deciding. You're not deciding to play a video game, to watch some TV or whatnot. You're saying no. If you're honest with yourself, you're saying no to your actual objective. When you come out and somebody says, yeah, come out to the bar or whatever bullshit, like whatever type of category, 7 days a week, you're saying no to everything else.
Yeah. I want to see if I actually have it. I didn't save it. I was trying to bring it up on my laptop really quick. I was on a coaching call this weekend or on Thursday, and one of the people I work with, I hate calling them clients. It just feels it's not a client. It's somebody that we work together to achieve goals mutually. And he said he was watching some video, and something he's trying to focus on is to distinguish between activities and distractions. So activities are things he likes to do, moving in the right direction, and things he does just to distract himself. And I thought that was brilliant. I was like, oh my God, a majority of the things I do are distractions from my goals. It's to like get me away from moving in the right direction for some reason. So I'm trying to be better at that. I'm trying to define what are actions and what are distractions.
That's great. I haven't heard that. Even when you see all the videos and stuff like that, I haven't heard anybody really chisel that out as a subject matter. If it's the first time I'm hearing you kind of talk about this, right away, if I'm playing around, if I'm doing a video game or anything like that, Netflix, right? I'll always bring that up. But there's always a voice in the back of my head saying, you got to be doing this. Yeah. Why aren't you doing this? And it eats you alive. And that's the voice saying, here's the shit you need to be doing.
Yeah, I think it's able to. The way I would distinguish the difference is, am I sitting there watching the same Office episode for the 450th time, or am I really like divulging into a really good series that I enjoy? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm dedicating time to let my mind kind of go away and do something I enjoy. But a lot of times, like, hey, what are we doing tonight? Okay, we're gonna have dinner. And then 3.5 hours go by and I'm watching the same episodes of The Office or Parks and Recreation that I have for the past 10 years. And I'm like, okay, that can be good here and there, but if that's a habitual action, it's not good.
Yeah.
Not good for productivity.
Good point. So it's not just the people that we're allowing to influence.
It goes right back to the information.
We're our own enemies. So we have to there's ourselves. We're also probably, we are the key person that we have to be mindful on how we influence ourselves.
Yeah.
We have all those things that are peppering us, and we're definitely our worst enemies. We can walk from any situation, any person, wherever we're at, location, we can walk from that at any time. We're the biggest crippler because we're the ones that are saying, nah, I'll hang out with them, or nah, I'll stay here, or nah, I'll keep watching it. All that stuff like that. We are the biggest player in the game.
Yeah. And I don't like to think about my life as like I plan for worst case scenarios all the time. But realistically, that's kind of, it's risk and reward. I say, hey, if I fall, this is the absolute worst that can happen. Am I okay with that happening? And what I did when I was writing the book and doing my podcast and stuff, I was thinking about the inner circle that we're talking about. And I thought to myself, hey, if I'm going to fall and I'm going to have one of my, catastrophic thoughts, mental breakdowns, or go through a rough patch in life, who do I want to have myself surrounded with? I want the people that know my goals, that know me, that have my best interest in the forefront of their mind when I'm struggling. I don't want the people being like, hey, come out and smoke weed, come out and go to the bar and get shit faced and go to a strip club. Like, yeah, cool. That could be a fun night, but that, like, you know what I mean? I got to surround myself with people that are going to look out for me, that I would trust when I'm not doing my best,
And that communication part is key. if I don't tell them like, hey, listen, I'm trying to do A, B, and C,
Hmm.
a little bit of responsibility starts falling on me. A little bit. I say that lightly
Yeah.
because they're gonna be like, yeah, F it, let's keep partying, you know.
Yeah.
So the club's still open, but if I don't tell them like, hey, listen, I have these kind of priorities, then I put it in their court. How are they going to handle it?
Yeah.
Hopefully, most of the time, if there's our filter system, they should be like, all right, I got you. Go do your shit. You're on the grind. That's your focus.
Hmm.
But if not, then then that tells you here's your clear definition if they're going to be worth it or not.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to a lot of motivational speakers and be like, F them, keep them back there. They don't have a part in your life kind of thing. A lot of the time, I think that's just for like clickbait and views and, getting people like riled up.
Right.
The reality of life is not all of us are that stern. Not all of us are that driven, that goal oriented, that focused. A lot of us need a little bit of like common area. Be like, okay, how is this really going to feel? Because we're in a world of extremes right now. Like, okay, I want to do this, got to cut everything out. I want to lose weight, no carbs for the next 6 months. Like, I want this to be like a platform of like, hey, this is like really how it feels. This is a realistic way of going about things. And I think the realistic way of going about this is like you're saying, it's a filtering system. It's not something that's going to be taken care of at the end of the day, at the end of the week, the month. This is an investment. This is a chess match. This is something that, you're going to see the payoffs in 3 to 5 years. You're not going to see the payoffs tomorrow, right?
Right.
You're
And
going
in the end, if you were to cut everything out and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to go for this gold medal or whatever, private jet, all that type of shit, um, you're going to wish for the time to come back. I personally believe you need those campfires every so often.
hmm
You need those nights out, hanging out with some good friends. You need them in a good proportion. That's probably a huge thing. We could probably make a note of that and throw it in the hat, everything in its own proportion, because in the end, what the hell are you going to do with all those achieved goals? Like how many times have you laughed? How many times have you enjoyed your time?
hmm
You know, the positive friends that you're surrounded with.
Yep.
It's not about cutting that all out because then you're going to find yourself with a pretty empty goal. And that's how I personally kind of look at it.
I think it's a great way to look at it. The way I interpret that is you have to be really aware of who you are and what made you who you are, right? These people are a part of what shaped you. So for better or for worse, these are the people that either roughened your edges, softened your heart. These are people that like maybe made you realize, I don't want to go down that path. But we don't want to lose those memories with these people either. So spending time, having those campfires, having those laughs, doing those things, sometimes it's okay to remove yourself from the severity of situations and goals. And that's like your reset button. I love rehashing old memories, whether they're real memories or now we've just exaggerated them to the point where they're fun to talk about. There's just something like, something about reminiscing and remembering where you came from, because remembering where you came from really helps you with where you're going.
Right. That's where we all build it from.
Mhm.
And it's a shame because the awareness comes from the building. And the awareness would really help out if we had it in the beginning.
Yeah. Right.
As I'm thinking about, like, I got my little 12-year-old and whatnot, and the more he has the awareness, the better he's going to be able to make that sort of filtration decision.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll throw my time at you. I'll take these grains of sand and I'll put them into this bucket, and we'll be able to spend some time. But it takes time to build that awareness. So it'll just have to take him time to kind of get a grip of that, I guess.
No, it will. And I think that's the thing, is we always wish we had it earlier. But
Right. If I knew
if
what I knew now, then
but if we had it then, it wouldn't be the same because we wouldn't have went through the filtering process. And I think so we would never really have that true understanding of this is worth my time, this is worth my energy. It would have just been kind of like someone telling you right back to square one. You don't
there you
do
go.
this, you shouldn't do that. This is part of it. This is falling in love with that process, understanding it is filtering, and it's that 3 to 5 years. It's not just that instant.
And You just hit it. It's if we know, here's probably the damn truth. Take what we know now, go back then, it probably would be wrong.
Yep.
In the circumstances, what we know now, if we go back and use it then, it's probably going to be wrong because the situations are always going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So his situation is going to be completely different. If I were to take my lessons and inject into him, it would probably screw him up.
Yep.
Because the circumstances that he's going to run into are going to be totally sideways from the stuff that we're used to playing with.
Yeah.
So you nailed it. So like he's going to have to go through it
mm-hmm.
to an extent and cause my fatherly anxiety. But that's what it's going to build for his specific situation.
And I think we talked about this on the last episode. What's right for me might not be right for you. So me and you could be put in the same exact situation at the same exact time, doing the same exact thing. And it could have completely two different outcomes.
Yeah, and that's why we don't travel in time.
Yeah, right. It's dangerous.
Right.
So it's if that's a parenting lesson, if anything, I think you just parented yourself, understanding that like, hey, I would do this if I were him. We're not him, like you're not him. This is his process. This is his beginning of the filtering. So when he is 21, 28, 32, 36, he's going to have just such a wide variety of experiences that are going to shape him to become him, not me. He's not going to be shaped to be you. He's going to be himself. And I think by you letting him have those experiences and filter for himself is just going to just benefit him so much in the long run.
That's huge. That's got to be one of the biggest things we take out of that filter, how we make that decision. I've always kind of been torn on that because I greatly enjoy my friend. I enjoy spending that time. But then there's the other filters you have to be conscious about. And like you said, your pie chart, if we do 100% of it and we're constantly blowing out our time like that on the leisure activities, well, what do we really expect at the end of the day?
You're going to be really good at leisure activities.
You're going to be a damn pro. You better be. You better be. If not, what the hell are you doing?
Something you said on the last episode, because I think it might have been kind of after we stopped recording, we were talking about that 10,000 hours becoming an expert. And you're like, that's 4 to 5 years of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I thought to myself, holy shit, what am I spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week on for the next 4 years? And that was one of those things. It was like, I want to help people. I want to do that 8 hours. So it was just like one of those things. I started surrounding myself, and like, obviously, like, you're a part of this. So like, that's my inner circle, my girlfriend. And all of a sudden I looked at it and I was like, I've done a really good job of surrounding myself with people that have my goals and stuff in mind. And they help me when I help them or when I'm not able to help them. So it was just cool. I just forgot to tell you about that. You mentioned that and kind of put it into perspective where I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot of time to dedicate to something that I might not want to do. Right? Like,
here's the flip side. So if you bring up, hey, Rick, I can't do a call this time. We can't chat this time because I have to do A, B, and C. So when we have to have a filter system for the people on the outside as well, so that we can help them. Mm-hmm. So we can be that right person on their circle. Yeah. So when somebody's telling you, hey man, I can't because I got to do A, B, and C, or I can't do it all these days this week because I have to grind and I have to go down in this direction. We have to put those lenses on as well because we're part of somebody else's circle.
Yeah.
So if I make the decision, no, come on, hang out, then that's the person I'm being. And I should only blame myself when they're like, okay, thanks, Rick. And they start pushing me out. Or I take hopefully the right decision and say, all right, I got you. Go do your thing. Let me know what I can do to help out. Yeah. Because you're kind of focusing, and I'd be the right support. I'd be that right person in their circle.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's perfect because that's something I definitely think of too. And I think I put it in my book. It's understanding it's a two-way street. So I can't get all butthurt if somebody takes me out. Of like, I can't get all like, I can't be doing this and like trying to refine my circle and reshape my life and have somebody eliminate me or cut time from me and me be like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, come here.
Right.
Like, it takes two to tango. It's all that stuff. Like, hey, I'll be understanding that, hey, this person's doing that. And maybe the way I'm acting is preventing them to get there. That doesn't mean I have to change who I am. It doesn't mean I have to try to mold myself to be the best version to fit them. That means maybe just that slice of the pie gets a little bit smaller for when we hang out, because this is the big thing. When we do hang out, it's going to be genuine, it's going to be true, and it's going to be worthwhile. Otherwise, if we try to just keep that piece of the pie big, it's all going to be bullshit time. It's going
Right.
to be time that you're not being you, I'm not being me. I'd rather have a quality 2 hours than a bullshit 8 hours, you know?
Absolutely. And probably won't have that voice in the back of your head saying, oh, you should be doing this,
Yeah.
which is just going to tear up your time, and it's just a multiplier effect of waste.
Yeah. So with this being, because we mentioned information too, and I know with social media and I know with smartphones and everything, information is just at our fingertips. So while we're trying to refine our inner circle and be really conscious of who we're surrounding ourselves with, I think it's huge that we treat that same philosophy and adapt it or pin it to the idea of information we take in. So whether it be what news articles you're reading, what sports you follow, all that kind of stuff, understanding that the information you're taking in is affecting your goals, your mood, your mental health, and your stability, essentially. So I think that's really key to touch on. I know that's part of the topic, and I wanted to make sure we did touch base on information, because that's literally why we're having a conversation. It's a bunch of the stuff me and you have digested from an information standpoint, and now we're having conversations about it. That's shaped who we are and what we believe.
So I'm really glad, very glad that you brought up that point, because the main purpose of it's right next to me. Oh my God. The main purpose of these demon devices is that they're designed to take our attention. All the apps, Facebook Messenger, all the stuff like that, it's all designed to steal our attention. There's been studies going on where if it's in your hand, in your pocket, right next to you, it's whatever you're working on, it's going to pull a part of your attention. You won't be as focused in the moment. If it's in a bag across in the same room as you, you're going to lose your attention and your focus. That's huge. I've just recently have been reading a couple books on kind of your attention control. And one of the strategies is really playing with the phones and your do not disturb kind of functions.
Yeah.
Block out that time, because
Mhm.
it's completely under attack. I'm glad you brought that one up.
I know for me, I don't have any of my notifications turned on. So if I get something on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, anything, it doesn't come through to my phone until I open that app. I mean, that can work both ways, and I might just be compulsively opening apps. But it all filters. You talked about Facebook Messenger or Instagram DMs or Twitter DMs or anything like that. The people you surround yourself with and the people that you're interacting with or follow, they're the people you're spending time on. They're the people that you're messaging. They're the people that come through to your phone. So it all ties in. It's not just a face-to-face or a phone call away anymore. It's constant contact all of the time. So if there's ever a
Right.
time where we really have to filter out who we want in our lives or who we want to dedicate certain pieces of the pie to, it's now, because our 24 hours could be absorbed like that, and we would never know. Be gone in a blink of an eye.
Right. My strategy, I do allow the notifications to come through, but I've scheduled the do not disturb function of the
Nice.
phone. So when we're doing this, nothing's coming through. I'm with my son, nothing's coming through. All that type of time, if I'm at work, nothing's coming through. Whatever activity. So you kind of bracket it. And it sounds like that's something we can roll over into both categories when you have the human interaction factor. You got to block out, and this is my time. This is the me time.
Mhm.
Whether it's just for you or just for something you're working towards, you have to kind of protect that time frame. Somebody comes in, hey, you want to go out? Oh, you were supposed to be working on your book, but then you went out. Guess what happened to the
Mhm.
book? It's just I kind of just another strategy of protecting that pie and being
Yeah.
proportionate.
And I think the only way this works, this whole filtering process works, and talk about something I wish I knew when I was younger, is being genuine and authentic to yourself. That is what, because otherwise you're spending a bunch of time filtering things out for someone you don't like in the mirror. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be, I don't want to say hard on yourself, but sometimes the truth is just hard. Sometimes you have to be like, if kids growing up playing certain sports because their parents want them to, that's a perfect example. I don't want to surround myself with all these, we'll say, football players if I don't want to play football, right? Like, that's not a culture. That's not an environment I want to be in. If you find it more fun and entertaining and mentally stimulating to go with robotics, well, that's the people you want to surround yourself with, because 15 years down the line, you've spent 15 years filtering out the information in a field you enjoy, opposed to being able to shoot the shit about 1980 Super Bowl stats with some kid you probably didn't like in high school.
Right. So build the filter first.
Yeah.
Don't let the situations build a filter for you.
Yeah.
Because then you're going
Be
to find
true.
out your hand's not on the steering wheel at all.
No, be true to yourself. And obviously, like, as a parent, I know you have your set of worries about, is my kid doing the right thing? Is he going the right direction? That's a whole different, and some parents just handle things differently. It might be a little bit harder for kids these days to be like, I don't want to do that, because maybe dad was a high school All-American and he's like, I want my kid to be an All-American.
Yeah.
Well, your kid's going to be an All-American at whatever he does if he loves doing it.
Oh, good point. If he's into it, then he'll be good at it for sure. If he's not into it, you can't be. Oh, here's a fucking example. Just last night, I'm at a campfire with my friends.
Yeah.
And this is all like real shit. And my friend's like, oh, stay tonight. But I've already committed myself to my activities today. Like, we had our video call. I'm going to be going to Philly and hanging out with my girlfriend, and we were going to do a couple things there. And that's my day. And then I have to ease it out into a good tuck myself in at the end of Sunday night, because I'm about to grind heavy for the week.
Yep.
And that was already in my mind. So I was able there, partied with the gang, and we did a campfire thing, made it home, woke up today, not too bad. And I don't know.
And now you get to enjoy your day. Yeah, you get to enjoy your day. You get to enjoy, because imagine if you did that, you don't enjoy this call. This call goes to shit. You don't get to go chill and hang out with your girlfriend and actually enjoy it, because it drives me.
I would have been so detoxing all over the place.
And then your week is shot to hell.
Yeah, it would have fucked my whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video would have sucked. The day would have sucked, and I would have been like, "You suck."
Yeah, exactly, man. I think that's like the stuff that is what we're talking about. Is it, your actions are going to have consequences, either good or bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you were able to be like, all right, cool, this is the time I get to spend with my friends. That's not an activity I really want to do right now, because I have other things that I got to take care of. But that's not going to take me away from this moment, kind of thing. Like, I'm still here, I'm still enjoying it, but like, I got shit I got to do. That's it.
Right. The decision process.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's awesome.
All right, so let's recap. What was our main points? We have our filter, right? We have to make sure that we're filtering it through so that we can make the decisions and, of course, proportionally distribute our time that would benefit us, but also not hurt us in the end.
Yeah. No, and it's that pie chart, and we talked about it on the last episode. So if you haven't checked out our last episode, we talked a little bit about, hey, where are we putting this energy? Which wolf are we feeding? Which column are we adding to? And I think this is kind of, it ties right into that. Be very conscious of the pie chart and how much time is allotted to people and information, and do they align with your goals? It's just like a school project. If you want to do well on the test, you're going to study, you're going to do the homework, you're going to take the quizzes. If you don't, you're not going to spend the time. You're going to spend time doing other things, and you're going to wonder why you failed. As Rick so elegantly put, the one difference between failure and success is hard work. Hard work, smart work, and that's the direction you're going to go in it. It all starts with being genuine to yourself, being conscious of that pie chart, and really knowing that this is a process, and we're in the process of filtering things out. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right. So as we're hatching it out there in this video, and we're kind of like, what about this idea? And we're paddling this back and forth. we're very always curious about what anybody who's watching this, what do you think?
Yeah.
What are your strategies? What are your blocks? And what are your methods and type of filtering that works for you? Because we're kind of having our aha moments here based off of our situations, and it's always in development. Like you said, it's always a process. It's always evolving. What's working now isn't going to work once our kids grow up and they're going through a whole different type of world.
No, yeah, that's it. So if you guys have anything, we picked these topics weeks ago and put them in the hat. So if you guys have something that you're going through and you want to talk about it, drop it down in the comments. DM us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, our Facebook page, or anything like that. All the links will be down there. But
we'll get your topic in the hat. We'll be able to pick it and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you'll get a free shout out because that's what we can afford.
All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. Take care.
All right, guys. Same bat time, same bat channel. I couldn't not.